Watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Good Sunday evening. Thank you for joining us for DC News Now at 6. Happy Father's Day. I'm Ben Dennis. We begin with a live look outside. A warm day indeed. Yeah, a sigh of relief before the days ahead. Those temps only set to rise. Our Dave Laval is standing by where some families are able to keep cool. But first, over to Scott Sumner with the forecast. Scott, get ready for a scorcher.
Oh, yeah. Right now, we're dealing with some pleasant temperatures and comfortable 86 degrees out there. Mostly cloudy. It doesn't really look it, but that's what the observation says. Mostly cloudy there. We do have some sunshine out and about this afternoon. We'll see those temperatures fall through the 80s, get into the 70s here mid-evening, and then fall through the 70s by the midnight hour and thereafter. We're going to be warmer tonight than it was last night. Last night we dipped all the way down into the lower 60s here. We're going to stay in the upper 60s, but still humidity levels kind of in check. The dew point numbers here still into the 50s, although we're creeping up a little bit more. We're seeing 64 at Annapolis and 64 Kaiser and Cumberland. When you see upper 60s, that's when it starts to feel a little bit more on the muggy side here. So this is going to really today transition ourselves into that major heat wave that we've been talking about here in the Weather Center. Yes, it is meteorological summer, but summer actually officially arrives this week astronomically, and it is going to be blazing out there. Tomorrow it kicks us off here. How hot will it get on your Monday here from D.C., Hagerstown, and Leesburg? As you see the actual temperature to the left, the heat indice to the right, and again, we're going to be up into the middle 90s for some of us here across the region. We'll talk more about our forecast and the week ahead coming up.
Plenty to cover, Scott. Thank you. Well, the hot weather has people looking for ways to stay cool. We turn now to our Dave Laval. He is continuing our weather coverage tonight. He joins us live from Lafayette Pointer Park in Upper Chevy Chase in Northwest D.C. Dave, you look dry. The kids behind you, not so much. How are people beating the heat out there?
Hey, Ben, got to tell you, I'm a little bit jealous of those kids behind me because let me tell you, you really work up a good sweat doing pretty much of nothing in weather like this. Well, Lafayette Pointer Park is one of 32 district parks that now offers spray parks like the one behind me and gives families a way to beat the heat. We caught up with several of them earlier who took advantage of the cool water. The splash parks open this weekend and will remain that way every day from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. through Labor Day. Two other parks, including the one at Turkey Thicket Recreation Center, is closed right now for repairs. All of the parks opened a week earlier than planned due to the heat in the forecast. And families we caught up with earlier, like the Kremers of Kensington, Maryland, are not complaining.
We actually went somewhere else last weekend, and we were so happy coming back today, and it was shut down. It was closed. So we were heartbroken, and then we found this one.
Again, the spray parks are open every day from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. through Labor Day. Another way to stay cool, district pools. Starting next week, all outdoor district pools will be open 6 days a week. We're live at Lafayette Pointer Park in Northwest. Dave Laval, DC News Now.
Dave, go run and get some ice water. Meantime, D.C. officials are activating an extended heat emergency starting tomorrow until Friday. Cooling centers and shelters will be open. They also share another reminder to stay hydrated, plus avoid the outdoors if possible. But if you do go outside, wear light-fitted clothes and certainly be mindful of your pets and their paws. More on that at the half hour. We have new details out of Southeast D.C. The family of a 62-year-old man killed in a hit-and-run spoke to DC News Now. Police say Alton Kelly was crossing the street with his wife when he was hit and dragged under a car on Wednesday. Our Leonard N. Fleming reports where this all unfolded.
The mother-in-law of Alton Kelly says the family is still in shock over his death. And Gail O'Garrow says that she is struggling with the death of her son-in-law and that this man had a heart of gold and cared deeply for her daughter. Police say that Kelly and his wife were near Alabama Avenue and Naylor Road when they were hit. They say Kelly was dragged under the car to a nearby street. Police say the car sped off. He later died at the scene. O'Garrow says that her daughter suffered a broken leg and a fractured hip. She says Kelly, who was battling blindness, had a heart of gold.
The impact is severely great. You know, we hurt, we cried, tears was flowing all the time. It was not flowing for my daughter, it was flowing from me because I love my son-in-law. He was a good husband to my daughter.
The family tells me they're trying to plan for a candlelight vigil for Kelly. Meanwhile, police are still searching for this driver. Reporting from Southeast, Leonard N. Fleming, DC News Now. Back to you.
Heartbreaking details, Leonard. Thank you. Meantime, D.C. officials say that the district is seeing a drop in violence, though the numbers are still relatively high when we took a look. Police data shows that violent crime is nearly 30% lower right now compared to this time last year. Over 1,500 documented cases so far. But violence interrupters, they are worried that summer weather may trigger some more crime. One of them tells us that he and other community members are finding ways to curb that crime.
When it gets warm, we do see an influx of shooting. We do see an influx of violence, man, which is why we try to make sure that we have weekly events, whether they're small or big.
Police data also shows that homicides are down a little over 20% from this time last year. 81 homicides thus far in 2024. Over to Virginia, Prince William County fire officials say that 8 people are without a home tonight after a townhouse fire in Dumfries. Officials say it broke out of the townhouse on Taconic Circle just last night, just before 8 p.m. 4 units were damaged by the fire. 3 of them were deemed unsafe for residents to go back. Thankfully, no injuries were reported. Officials determined a smaller accidental electrical fire was the cause there. And in Maryland, attention boaters, if you're on the water this summer, keep in mind there are stricter penalties for operating a boat while intoxicated. If you're convicted of boating under the influence, BUI, you'll be banned from operating a vessel for 2 years. If it results in death, you'll be banned for 5 years. The new law kicks in July the 1st. And in Hagerstown, people hit the Potterfield Community Pool to beat the heat this past weekend. And week from the slide to the refreshing water, families were able to spend some quality time together cooling down. Those we spoke to say there is no better way to kick off the summer.
At the slide, they got everything ready to go. Vanessa, you excited for the pool?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just going to enjoy it, and we're going to enjoy it all summer.
And with the warm weather on the horizon, Hagerstown Parks and Rec officials, they are hoping to have a great crowd over the next week. And now we turn to Virginia. That's where authorities in Fairfax County say that they have arrested a man in connection to 4 burglaries. New details tonight. Officials say that 58-year-old William Westray broke into a home on Tire Swing Road back on May the 24th. He left the scene before police got there. Police say they then found and arrested him as he tried to board a train at the Dunloring Metro Station. Police then connected Westray to 3 other burglaries, those happening on Bucknell Drive, Bow Lane, Ellsmore Street between May the 20th and May the 23rd. The Virginia chapter of the NAACP and a group of students are suing the Shenandoah County School Board over a proposal to rename 2 schools after Confederate generals. The lawsuit is in response to the ongoing battle over Mountain View High and Honey Run Elementary in Centerville and Quicksburg, respectively. Those 2 schools were previously named after 2 Confederate generals, but were changed in 2020. However, last month, the school board approved a measure to restore those Confederate names. The NAACP argues the names create, quote, a discriminatory environment for students. Well, DC News Now is your local election headquarters. We are just 2 days away from primary election day in the Commonwealth. You make your plans to head to the polls, and Northern Virginia reporter Haley Milon gets us primed with everything you need to know.
Yeah, some big primaries on the ballots across the Commonwealth. We'll see 6 Democratic primaries for congressional seats, 3 for Republican primaries, and 1 Republican primary for U.S. Senate. And here in the DMV, the race for the Democratic nomination for District 10 is hotly contested and fairly unpredictable at this point. Candidates are vying to replace Congresswoman Jennifer Wexton, who will retire after this term amid a battle with Parkinson's disease. That Republican primary for U.S. Senate is also garnering attention. The winner of that race will face incumbent Senator Tim Kaine in the general election. Now, if you do plan on voting, polls are open from 6 a.m. until 7 p.m. on Election Day. You'll need to bring a valid form of ID like a passport or a driver's license, and you can ensure that your voter registration is up to date by visiting elections.virginia.gov. Virginia has open primaries, so remember, regardless of your party affiliation or registration, you can vote in either party's primary, just not both parties. We'll have complete coverage of primary day as the results come in with an extra hour of election coverage at 8 p.m. As always, head to our website for more. Reporting in studio, Haley Milon, DC News Now.
Some good information there. Thanks, Haley. We, of course, want to wish all the dads out there a very happy Father's Day from us here at DC News Now. Folks across the DMV spending their day with dads, including some families with some time together on the course at the East Potomac Golf Links along the Potomac River in Southwest. We caught up with one dad. It's his day. He hit the links to see what he enjoys the most about being a father.
It was late in the game being a father, and I remember what my dad meant to me, and then it's like for her, like I work 7 days a week, but so every moment I get a chance to watch her grow and develop, it's important. It's tough some days through all the kicking and the screaming and when they don't want to give you the hugs, but it's always worth it at the end. Best job in the world.
And we hope all the dads out there enjoy their day no matter what you have planned for the rest of the night. Happy Father's Day to my dad, Chris.